obviously.
And when you say initiate, what's your approach?
Well, it's a connection. It's a connection, and like I said when we had a chat previously, there's kind of a trough, a 10-second opportunity where if you successfully, and obviously we're talking about using the phone, Brian, because the others aid and help, but the phone is really core or face to face. Obviously, we know that
Right.
from our experiences. The idea is to be able to have them respond and be captivated by your approach. So if you try like everybody else, well, you'll have the results of everybody else. So you have to slow down, you have to be calm, and there's a few other little components. And the way I have practiced it over 15 years myself to see it works, and it has. So there's a softer approach. And when you approach executives, they're probably onto something. If they answer, you have to be able to grab them in a calm and professional and a comforting way, but intelligently conversational. So it's got to be mature, but yet you can show that you're also relaxed, that you're not about to prospect them, but you want a conversation. You thought about them, you thought of them based on what the pervasive issue is that you bring up. Obviously, you got to do your research very well previous to the call, and then you get into a little conversation, and then they will lead you. They will usually. It's been proven they'll give you between 4 and 5 minutes if you've approached them properly.
And how do you approach them properly? I get, do you start with your clients through a mindset of how they view the cold call?
Can you explain what you mean by the question?
The mindset being, instead of it being like, oh, I'm interrupting somebody or I'm hounding or pestering somebody, that I'm there to help.
Right.
And
Well, when they take the call, I'll say, Mr. Burns, and they'll say, yeah. And I say, oh, Mr. Burns, and I take the pause. I deliberately take another pause. So they go, oh, yeah, because maybe they're looking at their computer, maybe they're reading a document, and they take the call, right? And they go, yeah, yeah. And it's, oh, hi, Mr. Burns, Denis Champagne on behalf of Lotus. How have you been? Very calm. And they go, oh, okay, this is not a threatening call. This is not, and it's vibrational. The voice is a vibe, and so it's really you that you need to have a mindset of
yeah,
I'm reaching out to have a conversation with someone
right.
and connect very, very softly.
As opposed to trying to sell them something.
Yeah, well, we've all heard all these acronyms of commission breath and the vibes of
That
doesn't
doesn't
work.
work, right?
Doesn't work, and it's never worked actually. Obviously, when you're in the 80s or 90s and you only have a phone accessible to you for communication with the outside world, everybody's going to use it. But now the plethora of ways of avoiding you. So you got to be you got to be wise. You got to be compassionate and understand their position. And if you have a solution, they want to hear your solution. Maybe you can help them. And C-level suite are accountable. They're accountable to a president or CEO or a
Yep.
committee or a board of directors. So if you have something they want, just calm down and say, this is, I'm in the long run. I give a conference where the opening screen of my conference, and I do it at the MBA program here at McGill, and I say, make a sale or build a career, your choice.
Right. And I think too many people are trying to get to the end result and they think it's magic words,
Yes.
where they're reading off of a script or they took a course. And what I like about what you said was it's how you do it. It's not the words. Well, I mean, you have the words, but they're not complicated words. It's the person's
Well,
name.
you're an example, Brian, if I may say so. Your voice is very calming. It's actually very powerful. I understand why you're in this business, because you have a great voice and it has a lot of robustness to it. And I'm using a platform called myvoicevibes.com. It's an AI application in the US. And the lady who's the president, a wonderful lady, Deborah Cancro, I'll give a shout out for her. I'm allowed to use it for coaching my people, and they use it in communication programs in the US. And my mission is to bring it into my model of attitude, voice, and verbs. And Zig Ziglar, 40 years ago, curiously enough, said, The voice is one of the most neglected areas of sales. The second one is use of your time. And it always stayed with me 40 years ago when I used to put my cassette in my car, going to my office. Yeah, the voice. And so, but I wasn't aware of myself. You got to be self-aware. And as
Right.
you grow older, I mean, in experience in sales,
Not just geographic.
because I'm a young guy. I'm a young guy. You start realizing, how would I be approached? Like, how would I like to be approached? So it's kind of taking
Well,
awareness of that.
what I like about it is that because most of the people who are passionate about the phone, as far as a cold outreach, they have a style, a personality
Yeah.
that isn't easily duplicated.
Yeah.
And they don't, or they're not good at articulating why they're good on the phone.
Right.
But I think what you've explained is it isn't as complicated as it appears.
That's right.
And if you can get over the scary part and just relax and use
They
those
will.
pregnant pauses
Yeah.
and understand the power of that pause.
Oh yeah. That I'm so happy you mentioned the power, because people's hearts, it's the heart, right? At the beginning, it's relevance and heart, but it's understanding how, like, it's they're approached by all kinds of hounds,
Yeah.
and nobody's been taught this. It's not that people are not capable of learning. They've just not been, I guess, encultured by their management to say, hey, we need to improve the, how should I say, the coachability of the team, the relevance of it. And imagine if you, Brian, could call every single time you made an outreach, you'd get a connection with a C-suite. How differently would you view your career?
Right. And that the power of being able to do that. And I lucked out early in my career by having a CEO befriended me
No,
because I had all the revenue. So at the end of the quarter, he was concerned about his job. So he would fly out and go on calls with me.
right.
And he was an Air Force Academy grad, Stanford grad. And his whole thing was just confidence.
Well, actually, confidence is one of the key components in the application I use. Captivating is another
I
one.
can't hear you. Can you turn on the mic?
My mic
There
is
you
off.
go. There you go. You're back.
Yeah, my mic was on.
Yeah, but you're hitting it.
I wasn't touching anything.
Okay.
Uh, Three things: confidence, captivating, and authentic are the three qualifications or characteristics that the AI application I focus on with my clients and their staff. Um, and captivating and authentic, especially authentic, because when you're authentic, you can be captivating because everybody else isn't.
Do you find people are trying to be too professional?
No, they're trying to be robotic. They're trying to
Yes.
be machine-like.
Yeah.
And if they just like, I've actually had some people put their feet up on the table, lie back, almost like they're lying down on the bed, and their whole physical posture changed, their voice changes.
Yeah.
Little things like that. You see most of them in a phone room. I had, 30 people working on the phone. They would stand up just to change the dynamics.
Yes.
And then when they sit back, their whole,
And it got me away from that confinement of a desk
right.
and that rigidness. But I never really did the the casual thing. Not casual, but that long, or what I call the FM voice, right? That midnight, or what Chris Voss calls his midnight voice. He's a hostage negotiator. And he would always talk to these very anxious, tight people. And his approach was similar to yours, where he would, hey, how's it going in there?
Yeah. It's very powerful. I mean, because then people are not expecting that.
Right.
Maybe in 5 years, 10 years, when enough people will have used my Lotus Pillar, there'll be enough of it, this and standard, but it's not a bad standard to have.